Welcome to this edition of Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I'm your host, Kierstyn Long. In the studio today are Jess Truedson and Jackie Watson. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And would you like to introduce your four-legged partners?
Yes. Here I have 5-year-old Hank. He is a mini Australian Labradoodle, and he works at Lincoln Elementary School here in Sterling.
Excellent.
And I have Clem. Clem's a 3-year-old golden retriever, and he goes to school with me at Washington every day in my classroom.
All right. A few weeks ago, we had a visit with your other colleagues and talked about the process of the therapy dogs being assigned and the process that you as the trainers had to go through before you bring the dogs home. Mm-hmm. What I would like to know is how you as the handlers have been impacted by your dogs.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like to.
So this is my 4th year with Hank, and my journey was a little different. So Hank, I actually, when I picked Hank, and he actually came from Kenosha, and he was a COVID baby, and I did training. Come here, Hank. I did local training here through Sue Jacobs. She's a local trainer who's trained lots of different dogs, and I went. I think I had to do. I think it was right around 120 hours. And I went every, I think, Tuesday at the Rock Falls Community Center with her. She had some other trainers, that I had to go through. There were different tests that Hank had to pass throughout the couple of years, or well, maybe the first year. But it ended up being probably about a year and a half. And then once he got his training and his okay, to become the therapy dog at Lincoln, then we kind of moved forward with that. I did present him to our superintendent, Dr. Tad Everett, as to why I thought Hank would be a great fit and why I wanted to have a therapy dog for Lincoln. Because at the time, Cammie Hartman, I know she had Scone, and he was, went through the he was through the CARES program. And at the time, they were looking into getting more dogs. I didn't take that route, so we kind of fast-tracked, if you will, Hank. And so I've been, this is my 4th year, so that's kind of our journey. How he has impacted me. Well, first of all, when you take a dog to school, you don't realize when they're gone or when they're sick. When you're walking through doors and they're not there, it feels weird. You feel like you're missing your other half, if you will. And I will say that he has brought a lot of joy to a lot of students, whether it's mental health, whether it's reading. I just find that kids seek him out for that assurance in the morning, and some of that transition, maybe going from 2nd to 3rd, or if they're just struggling reader. So he has impacted me in a most positive way, and definitely the students. I look at it as kind of like a pay it forward. That's kind of my reasoning for doing the therapy dog. And like I had told you earlier, I had another dog that I did through the hospital at KSB through the PAWS program. It was a long, long time ago, and that was through hospitals. And I remember the feeling that I got, that I just felt like I brought a lot of joy to people that were sick, and I definitely wanted to do that again. And then when this opportunity came, I'm like, absolutely, I want to do that. So,
Seemed perfect.
yes.
Excellent.
No. So with Clem, we went through the CARES program, and I remember the moment when I wanted to become a handler. There was a movie about service dogs and working dogs at the IMAX theater. Mm-hmm. And I remember just getting so emotional at how impactful that they were. So once we, as a district, had found out that we wanted to do a dog per building, that was something that I was right on. So we did go through an interview process and decided, who would become handlers for each building. So I traveled down to CARES in Kansas with the rest of them, and we trained for a week. Brought him back, and the very first place that we took him was my daughter's music recital. Mm-hmm. And the one thing, you kind of discover a lot of things with service dogs. They're accepted everywhere except for church sanctuaries. You have to get permission to bring them to a church sanctuary, and this is where it happened to be her recital. And so I called, and I'll never forget bringing him in. We were running a little bit behind, and bringing him in and trying to be a fly on the wall, but realizing that you're never a fly on the wall with your dog, because everybody wants to come and say hi and things. So that was a pretty remarkable moment. We did go to school. I teach special education in 5th grade, and so I have a classroom of students all day. So I don't get the chance to wander around the school very often. So usually in the mornings, I'll take him in the hallways, or we'll greet kids coming into the school. Or if I'm taking kids out for recess, the kids at Washington are so great. They'll ask for permission. Can I pet Clem? And they understand that sometimes it's not a good time, but when they can, absolutely, they love on them. So we've come across a couple of instances where there's been a child that's been in distress, and I may not know them, but they all know Clem. In fact, I think if I'm walking the halls without Clem, they would not know who I am, some of the grades. And so we've stopped, and I've talked to the teacher. I'm like, can Clem help out? And we've stopped and just kind of talked it out, and they pet Clem, and you could just kind of see them relax, and they start to open up and talk. Yes. And we've also had a situation, which is probably my favorite. We had a situation in one of our life skills room. We had a student that would like to run. And so he decided to hide underneath one of the tables in the hallways. And the teachers could not coerce him out. And so we brought Clem down, and we asked would you like to help walk Clem back to your classroom? And he got right up, and he walked Clem back to his classroom and stayed in his classroom the rest of the day. Yep. So there's just like little things. There's not a lot that I do. It's pretty much Clem. But he's impacted me mostly positive. Just seeing the smile on the kids' faces, or just with family members, or just anybody in the community. So it is very difficult to take him to the grocery store or to take him anywhere because you're stopped quite often.
Right.
And so it's almost like you have to be prepared for any situation that comes along when you have him. So
he brings a lot of joy and a lot of excitement and surprises.
And a lot of fur. Yeah.
And a lot of fur. Oh, I can tell. Well, you touched a little bit on my next question. Are there scheduled times for children to spend time with the dogs, or do they get to just see them randomly throughout the day? I know we talked a little bit that sometimes it's like if they have maybe a reward, or on the opposite side, if they're having a bad day.
Yep. So for Hank, I'm located in the portable, which is right adjacent with Lincoln. And my plan time is right in the morning, which is actually beautiful because from 7:30 till 8, I have none of my aides are in there. They're doing their like morning duty, and so I might have students that want to come in during that time, and a lot of times sometimes they'll talk to me, sometimes they'll just kind of hang out with Hank, and then my plan time will start 8:05, 8:10, and then I will teachers may email me, or maybe we set up something where there's just a student that every Thursday they want to come out and they want to, it could even be hang out with Hank or kind of help me, prepare him for the day, whether it's just kind of play with him a little bit. And so I have those kinds of things in the morning, or it could be maybe there's an emergency situation where there's a student who's, maybe having a bad morning and maybe I need to go out, and I try to coerce them to, hey, actually, can you guys help, can you help me walk Hank back to down the 3rd grade hallway? So we do try to help in that way. And then, what else was the question? I'm sorry, you asked about Hank breaks. I do have Hank breaks.
Yes.
So when I have, usually at a time during my reading intervention time, I might have 3 or 4 kids at my table, and then I'll have kids that will come out from the building, and they'll have a little card, and I'll have Hank's picture, and I'll call it a Hank break. So it could be a reward, maybe they just need a break, and they come out, I set a timer, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they sit, and I continue teaching, and they're over here with Hank, whether they're reading or just talking or, just kind of hanging out. So that's throughout the day. But I would say I'm pretty open. I feel like it's kind of a flexible schedule all day.
Yeah, little scheduled, little they can pop in.
Yes, because I'm kind of limited to where I'm teaching from 9 o'clock until all the way up till about 2:35 every day. But I always tell teachers, please email me if a student needs a break or they just need a little time with him. It's completely fine. And so that is kind of nice that I have that flexibility. So.
Absolutely. Is it similar for you? A little bit different?
I would say it's pretty similar. It's usually it's mainly intentional. It's like an intentional break. In the mornings, like I said, I'll go out and greet the kids in the morning somewhere, whether it's in the hall or it's in front of the school. But we always throw the ball before school, and so some of the kids will come and we've actually talked about incorporating that into our PBIS behavior system. But to earn that ball time with Clem, and it's just 10 minutes. No. 7:30.
He wants to be.
He talks back, yeah. 7:30 to 7:40, and we'll throw a ball down the hall, and some of the teachers will come and no.
He's cracking.
I said no.
Hank's like, what's going on?
No.
Is it because you said ball? Maybe.
No, he's looking at something over there. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Stop it.
He sees Nathan.
Is that what it is?
He sees him.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good.
Unpredictableness.
Hank's just pawing me.
We
like,
love
hey,
it.
Yeah.
I love
Clem.
this tiny wolf.
No.
In his chest.
That's how he talks back. He'll tell him no.
Oh my goodness.
Good boy.
So anyways, back to what I was saying. So we will have ball time in the mornings, and I'll have a couple of students sometimes either throw the ball or run, because you'll throw the ball and Clem doesn't feel like running. He's a very lazy dog. So I will have kids run down the halls with him. But throughout the day, he's in with my students, and so I don't have that flexibility to leave, except for lunchtime or my plan time. Clem, no. And so different times, administration will bring students to come in, and they might say, can they have Clem time? And sometimes they'll just go underneath the table, similar to what Jackie does, and they'll just come in, they'll hang out for a while, I continue doing what I'm doing. Sometimes my students in my class will earn a reward time to be able to brush Clem or, spend some time with him, so I use him as an incentive. And
Absolutely.
So we've taken selfies. That's something that they can do, is they can earn a selfie with Clem. So we just try to use them all throughout the school. I wish I could get to every classroom more, but that's difficult. So we just make the best of it. And like I said, everybody knows Clem, and he's here if he's needed. So
It's wonderful. It seems like it might also teach kids a little bit about responsibility, like having the opportunity to brush the dog and things like that. Like, this is a reward. So
or get water for the dog, or
so kind of teaching them how to take care of a future pet as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Or maybe their own kind of the importance of, or they want a new dog, and okay, well, guess what? Here's some responsibility. Hank keeps looking at the door, thinking that something's there because Clem was barking. So Hank thinks that somebody.
We got to figure out what else is
Partners
going on.
in crime here. I love it.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are nailing every question. As I look at my next one, I'm like, they touched on it.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes you feel that you've seen in children before interacting with the dogs and then after, would you say?
I would say, in my reading room, I feel that it has a very calm vibe. I think because they know, we can't scream, we can't be super loud. Because we talked about how, obviously a dog, they can hear very well. You're not going to get up here, really. And I just feel like it brings a sense of calmness and maybe a little bit of security for them, that they know, especially, and I know Jess can probably add to this too, the students that I see in the reading room, they either hate reading or they're trying really hard, but they're still not maybe haven't got that goal yet. Maybe in the classroom they're not seeing it as much. Maybe they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not at where I should be compared to my peers. So I feel like them going over and reading with him, it's just a sense of just calmness and almost like I don't need to be worried. I don't need to be, if I get called out in the classroom and I have to read aloud, I'm nervous or I feel embarrassed. And so I just feel, I think the biggest thing for me is in my room, I feel like a little more sense of calmness. I think the kids kind of play off of him. Oh, Hank's sleeping right now, or oh, Hank came over to, because I keep Hank off leash in my room.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, as long as he already knows all the kids, it's kind of weird. Once he knows all of their scents, then I feel more comfortable with him being off leash. Obviously, I'm right there, but Hank knows I say go visit, and he will go over and he'll kind of walk under the tables with some of the kids, and they'll just pet him. That way, everybody gets a chance. But I would definitely see, I see just a sense of calmness. I feel that it brings. So I hope I answered that.
Oh, absolutely. So it sounds like your room is a safe space.
Yes, definitely.
That's wonderful.
I would say, just to add on to that, the kids look forward to something. So, when they come in and, if there's days when Clem's not there, because there are some days, if we have like a training or we have someplace, that we have to be up in physical, it's more beneficial to us to just leave them home. Plus, it's a lot of stress for them to be, moving and transitioning all day. So, but I would say Clem adds a lot of, like Jackie said, just, a real chilled space that the kids look forward to it. But also a lot of humor too. Throughout the day,
we've already seen a little bit
he
of
will
that.
sleep, and he probably sleeps most of the day.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
They're very relaxed too. I mean, they're in their element. But many times Clem will be sleeping, and we will be reading, and it'll be nice and quiet, and Clem will snore.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it kind of breaks up that monotony of we're in school, we're reading. They struggle with it as well.
Sure.
And so, we get to laugh and giggle. And so there's a sense of humor that comes with it, or he'll come up and interrupt me, and then I can't get my train of thought back, or so you just have to laugh it off. Yeah, there's a lot of laughter.
Kind of lightens up the atmosphere, I'm
Definitely.
sure, for some kids, especially if they struggle with learning. School can be a very daunting place to go to,
Absolutely.
so have something to break the tension.
Or if they're upset. I mean, it's amazing to see the dogs just go to a student and maybe just lay down next to them and just be in vicinity. It's amazing what they can sense.
I was just going to ask, do you feel like they sense, like they know who needs them,
Most
essentially?
definitely. Yes. I had a student that was having a difficult time in the lunchroom because it was too loud. And so I brought him into my classroom, and he was just eating a cereal, and I saw Clem just get up from his crate and go in and lay just like this, right at his feet and on his feet. And my student didn't really react, just kind of looked over, and you could just see him just kind of just relaxing more and more, So yeah, it's a really neat experience just to sit back and watch.
Absolutely. I'm curious, have you guys run into any issues in the schools where a student or a staff member has had an allergy with dogs, and if so, what precautions are you able to take? I know that's kind of a difficult situation.
Right. I feel like we have a letter that kind of goes out at the beginning of the year, just letting parents know, hey, there's therapy dogs in the school. Please let us know if your child has any severe allergies. And if that does happen, I try to go through the list. Okay, are they in my room? Are they not in my room? Because sometimes it's hard when you have a school of 200 kids. A lot of times the students, I feel, will tell you. They'll say, I'm allergic to dogs. So I'm like, okay, you can always do a silent wave. Or, sometimes kids will be like, I think I'm allergic to a dog. And I'll say, well, you can just do a silent wave. I don't want you to get too close. So I don't feel like there's ever been any incident where anybody's had a reaction.
Sure.
But I feel that parents are notified, and I think that now everybody knows.
Yeah, it goes through the nurse. The nurse notifies and usually lets us know too.
Yep.
But the students are really good about that.
They'll let you know.
I had a father that came up with his son and said he can touch him, but he just has to sanitize. And I said, okay, Dad has spoken, so it's fine. And he was so excited. But yeah, we just keep him out of the classrooms. I mean, we do have a student at Washington that cannot be in the vicinity of dogs.
Okay.
And him being a very furry animal, we just stay away from the classroom.
Oh, okay. That makes total sense.
Because I feel like once the parents are notified, then it's kind of in their hands, and they let us know.
Yep.
Especially if it's a severe allergy.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. What are some misconceptions about therapy dogs that you think people might have? If you've ever heard anything. You seem like maybe you've got one.
They're not soldier dogs.
And they're not perfect.
No, and that's been difficult because you're in the community's eye all of the time. You know, I mean, we're bringing this wonderful thing to our school district, but on the other hand, it is a lot. You know, you have to make sure that your dog is groomed and clean and well behaved and respectful, and they have to be very tolerant. I mean, the kids are great, but they have to be very tolerant, but you have to constantly watch your dog to look for signs. You know, are they stressed? Do they need to get out of the situation? But being in the community eye is difficult because I think they are very well trained animals, but they're dogs.
Yes.
And that was really difficult for me for probably the first year and a half to go,
yes,
he's a dog. He's going to bark every now and then.
Yep.
But please don't do it with your vest on, you know, or don't do things like at home it's different, but when you're in the public eye, it's just that scrutiny and wondering who's judging.
Yes.
You know, so you just want things to just go.
Do you feel like when he has on the vest, you're kind of under a microscope? Like people are like, well, is that dog doing everything he's supposed to be doing?
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, I think I feel like I'm very hard on myself about it because Hank's not a Kier's dog. And there are things, you know, with Hank that, ooh, you know, he's not as chill or he's just a little, you know. But Sue Jacobs had assured me that, Jackie, he's a doodle. And, you know, he has a good temperament. He is so, what's the word? Like, he's very chill. He has never, like, growled or ever tried to, nothing like that. He is a big baby. I will say that. He really is. But I think personally for me, I get that way just because I feel like, ooh, he's not as top notch. But, you know, they're dogs. They're going to bark. I mean, I remember one time, I think it was right at the end of COVID or maybe like 2021 or 2022 maybe. Hank was in a deep sleep. And one of the janitors came in, it was in the winter, and they had like a ski mask and a mask. And he's like, hey, Jackie. And he kind of like, because he needed me for something. And Hank woke up from a slumber, a deep sleep, and Hank started barking. I was like, oh my gosh. You know, at that point, I got really nervous, like, oh my, but he was startled. I wasn't prepared. You know, there's things that I always have to make sure, like, okay, I see somebody's coming, whoever it is, I get the leash on, and I'm always ready, just in case. Sure. Not that he's going to do anything bad, but just to make sure that I'm in control of him and that he feels safe. Yeah. So it's more of like no surprises, but it happens too.
Yeah, you have to roll with a lot of punches throughout the day whenever you have them. Yeah, you just have to be always on the lookout. Almost like, you know, having a toddler, you have to make sure that they're not putting anything in their mouth or they're, you know,
a plant behind here, like the
or
fern.
you get someplace and they have to use the restroom and you're like, this is not a good time, but you know, so it's almost like having a toddler bringing them to school with you some days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some days are great, and I'm sure some days are a little challenging.
It can be challenging,
yes.
If you're always on. You're always on.
You're responsible for you, and you're responsible.
And your students, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Well, it looks like you guys have two absolutely wonderful dogs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess and Jackie, for joining us today. Animals are always a big hit.
Oh,
we do Pet of the Week, and whenever we have pets in here, our viewership is like through the roof. People love pets.
Yes, they do. They do.
I really wish that we had animals when I was in grade school, because I think it just would have made a big difference to hear how the kids handle going through a hard time.
Absolutely.
Or even just as a reward. I know I would have spent any reward ticket I had for an opportunity to pet a dog.
Yes.
Even today, I felt so bad. I greeted your dogs before I greeted you guys. I'm like, oh my goodness.
We get it all the time.
I know, it's also staff too.
Yeah.
Staff will come in when they're stressed out, and they'll come into and they don't want to see us.
No.
They want to see the dog. And so they will lay on the floor and love on the dogs because they've had a rough day.
Yep.
Yeah, so
All
it
ages.
impacts everyone.
That's wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
As always, we want to thank not only our production crew, but also our viewers. Remember that the Radar Free Press is free, so don't forget to like, share, and comment to keep us thriving. If you want to see more videos like this, check out theradar.online.